Every time you react to disrespect with anger, you are handing over the remote control of your emotions to someone who does not respect you. Think about that for a second. You are giving the very person who is trying to hurt you the power to determine your mood, your heartbeat, and your peace of mind. You let a snide comment from a coworker ruin your dinner. You let a passive-aggressive text from a family member keep you awake at 2 in the morning. You replay the scene over and over in your head, thinking of what you should have said, while the person who insulted you is likely sleeping soundly, having forgotten you even exist. You are letting them win. And today, that ends. Welcome to How to Handle Disrespect, the Art of Verbal Self-Defense. We live in a world that is becoming increasingly aggressive. From the boardroom to the dinner table, from social media comments to subtle digs in casual conversation, disrespect is the weapon of choice for the insecure and the manipulative. Most people go through life defenseless against these attacks. When they are insulted, they have two default settings. They either explode in rage, looking unhinged and weak, or they swallow the poison in silence, breeding resentment and damaging their own self-esteem. Neither of these reactions serves you. Neither of these reactions commands respect. This audiobook is not about learning how to be mean. It is not about learning how to shout louder or come up with petty comebacks. That is the game of children. We are here to play the game of masters. Over the course of the next 10 chapters, we are going to dismantle the mechanics of disrespect. You are going to learn that verbal self-defense is very much like a martial art. In physical combat, you do not stand there and let someone punch you. But you also don't flail your arms wildly. You block, you deflect, you use the opponent's momentum against them. You remain balanced while they fall. We will begin by fortifying your internal world. You cannot control what others say, but you can have absolute tyranny over how you interpret it. We would discuss the psychology of the attacker, stripping away their power by revealing their insecurity. You will learn the devastating power of the tactical pause and the silence that speaks louder than shouting. From there, we will move into the tactical arsenal. I will give you the specific language, the exact phrases, and the vocal tonality required to neutralize an attack instantly. You will learn the mirror effect, verbal aikido, and how to draw iron boundaries that no one dares to cross. Finally, we will ascend to the level of mastery, becoming a person of such high character and solid presence that disrespect simply slides off you. This is the state of the unconquerable self. This journey will require you to look in the mirror. It will ask you to kill the part of your ego that needs constant validation. But the reward is a life where you are no longer a victim of other people's words. You will walk into any room, into any confrontation with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they cannot be rattled. You are about to build a suit of armor that no words can pierce. If you are ready to reclaim your power and master the art of composure, and if you are enjoying this content so far, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Premier Audiobooks. Your support helps us bring these life-changing lessons to more people who need them. Now, take a deep breath, clear your mind of the noise. It is time to step into the fortress. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Poisoned Gift. Why does a word hurt? Have you ever stopped to ask yourself that specific question? You are physically stronger than a collection of sound waves. You are more complex than a sentence typed on a screen. You have survived difficult days, physical pain, and exhaustion. Yet, a single phrase, delivered with a sneer or a dismissive tone, can penetrate your skin, bypass your logic, and go straight to your heart. It can ruin your day. It can make your hand shake. It can make you question your entire worth. This is the great paradox of human interaction. We are apex predators, yet we are fragile enough to be dismantled by a whisper. To master verbal self-defense, we cannot start with what to say. If I gave you the perfect comeback right now, you wouldn't be able to use it. Why? Because when disrespect hits you, your brain is not in a state of logic. It is in a state of emergency. Before we can arm you with words, we must disarm the weapon being used against you. We must understand the mechanics of the insult itself. The first truth you must internalize is this: disrespect is not a statement about your value. It is a statement of the speaker's limitations. When someone disrespects you, they are handing you a package. Inside that package is their anger, their insecurity, their jealousy, or their bad upbringing. They have wrapped it up in words and thrust it into your hands, expecting you to take it.
The moment you get angry, the moment you get defensive, you have accepted the package. You have signed for the delivery. Now you are holding their poison. You are carrying their baggage. But what if you didn't take it? There is an ancient story, often attributed to the Buddha, that illustrates this perfectly. One day, a man approached the Buddha and began to berate him. He hurled insults, questioned the Buddhist wisdom, and tried to provoke a reaction. The Buddha sat calmly, listening but not reacting. When the man finally ran out of breath, the Buddha looked at him and asked a simple question. If you buy a gift for someone and that person refuses to accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The man was confused but replied, "It would belong to me because I bought it." The Buddha nodded. "Exactly. You have cursed me and insulted me, but I do not accept your insults, so they remain with you." This is the concept of the poisoned gift. It is the foundation of your mental fortress. Most of us go through life grabbing every gift thrown at us. We are hoarders of other people's negativity. A boss calls us incompetent, and we take it home, nursing the insult over dinner. A spouse makes a sarcastic comment, and we carry it to bed, letting it rot in our minds. We assume that because something was said to us, it must be about us. We must break this link. Let's look at the biology of why this is so difficult. Humans are social creatures. For thousands of years, our survival depended on being accepted by the tribe. If the tribe lost respect for you, you were exiled, and exile meant death.
So, your brain evolved a high-sensitivity alarm system for social rejection. When someone disrespects you, your amygdala, the primitive fear center of your brain, lights up. It perceives a threat to your social standing as a threat to your actual life. Your heart rate spikes. Cortisol floods your system. You are primed to fight or flee. This biological reaction is outdated. A rude comment from a stranger in line at the coffee shop is not a death threat. A snide remark from the colleague is not a predator in the bushes. However, your body treats it like one. The first step in handling disrespect is recognizing this biological hijack. You must feel the spike of adrenaline and say to yourself, "This is a false alarm." Once you quiet the biological alarm, you can engage your higher intelligence to analyze the source of the disrespect. Let's dissect the attacker. Happy, confident, and fulfilled people do not go around disrespecting others. This is a law of human nature. Have you ever been having the best day of your life? You just got a promotion, or you're in love, or you just finished a great workout and felt the urge to destroy someone else's confidence? Of course not. When you feel high value, you treat others with value. Therefore, disrespect is always a symptom of a deficiency in the attacker. It is a confession. When someone tries to belittle you, they are confessing that they feel small. They are trying to stand on your neck to make themselves feel taller. When someone is aggressively critical, they are confessing their own perfectionism and self-hatred. When someone is passive-aggressive, they are confessing that they are too cowardly to engage in direct conflict. You must learn to hear the subtext. When they say, "You're an idiot," you must hear, "I am terrified of being wrong." When they say, "Who do you think you are?" you must hear, "I don't know who I am." When you view disrespect through this lens, it loses its edge. It transforms from a sword into a feather. You stop feeling hurt, and you start feeling a distant, clinical pity. You realize that the person shouting at you is suffering. They are fighting a war within themselves, and you just happened to walk onto the battlefield. This does not mean you accept the behavior. It does not mean you let them walk all over you. But it means you do not take the damage internally. You cannot defend a house if the walls are made of glass. You need walls of stone. That stone is the realization that their words are their problem, not your reality. However, there is a traitor inside the fortress. That traitor is your ego. Your ego loves the poisoned gift. Your ego is the part of you that says, "How dare they speak to me like that?" Your ego wants to be the main character. It wants to be right, it wants to be admired, and it wants to be feared. When disrespect hits, the ego screams for justice. It wants you to pick up the poison and throw it back. The ego tells you that if you don't react, you are weak. It lies to you. It tells you that silence is submission. It drives you to argue, to defend yourself, to prove the other person wrong. But here is the trap. The moment you start explaining yourself to someone who is committed to misunderstanding you, you have lost. You're seeking validation from a source that is determined to withhold it. It is like trying to buy bread from a hardware store. You can scream, you can cry, you can wave your money around, but you are not leaving with bread. The hardware store doesn't sell it. The disrespectful person is not selling validation. They are selling conflict. If you buy into the conflict, you are funding their business. Let's look at a practical example. Imagine you are in a meeting. You present an idea, and a coworker rolls their eyes and says, "Well, that's charming, but we need a realistic solution, not a fantasy." The poison gift is right there on the table. It is wrapped in condensation and arrogance. Option A, you react with your ego. You feel the flush of heat in your neck. You snap back. "I've been in this industry for 10 years. I know what I'm talking about, unlike some people." Result? You have accepted the gift. You now look defensive. You have lowered your vibration to match theirs. The room sees two people bickering. You have lost your authority. Option B, you recognize the poison gift. You refuse to sign for the delivery. You look at them with total neutrality. You realize their comment is about their need to dominate the meeting, not about your idea. You pause. You do not absorb the fantasy comment. You simply pivot back to the data. Result: you remain the adult in the room. Their insult hangs in the air unclaimed. It looks petty and out of place because you didn't validate it with a reaction. This shift from reacting to observing is the hardest work you will ever do. It requires you to be present in the moment. Most of us are sleepwalking, reacting automatically to stimuli. Stimulus, insult. Response, anger. Stimulus, praise. Response, pride. We are puppets, and the people around us are pulling the strings. To cut the strings, you must develop the watcher mindset. Imagine there are two of you. There is the you who is experiencing the moment, and there is the watcher who is observing the moment from a balcony above. When disrespect happens, the watcher observes it. The watcher says, "Interesting. That person is raising their voice. My heart rate is elevating. This is an attempt to provoke." The watcher does not get angry. The watcher analyzes data. This sounds abstract, but it is a practical skill you can practice today. The next time you encounter a rude cashier, a bad driver, or a snippy family member, treat it as a simulation. Tell yourself, "Here is the poisoned gift. I am going to leave it on the floor." Watch what happens to your body when you make that choice. You will feel a strange sensation. Usually, you feel a tightening in the chest. But when you refuse the gift, you feel a sense of lightness. It is the feeling of freedom. You realize that you are not a slave to other people's opinions. This is true power. Power is not controlling others. Power is controlling yourself. There is another layer to the poison gift, the content of the insult. Sometimes, hidden within a disrespectful delivery, there is a grain of truth. A harsh boss might be yelling, but perhaps your report was late. A partner might be screaming, but perhaps you were neglectful. The master of verbal self-defense knows how to extract the gold from the mud. If you are too busy defending your ego, you miss the feedback. If you react to the tone, you miss the message. When you refuse to be triggered by the disrespect, you can look at the words objectively. You can ask, is there any truth here that I can use to improve myself? If there is, you take the lesson and discard the insult. You strip the useful data from the emotional delivery. You say to yourself, okay, the report was late. I will fix my time management, but I will not accept the abuse. This makes you anti-fragile. The more people attack you, the stronger you get, because you are constantly harvesting their feedback to sharpen your own skills, while ignoring the emotional damage they try to inflict. You are using their energy to fuel your growth. If there is no truth in the insult, if it is pure malice or projection, then it is trash. And what do we do with trash? We don't analyze it, we don't keep it in our pockets, we don't argue with it, we step over it and keep walking. Consider the alternative. Consider the life of the person who accepts every poisoned gift. They are a vessel for other people's trauma. They walk around heavy, bitter, and exhausted. They are constantly fighting battles that aren't theirs. They are easily manipulated. All anyone has to do to control them is say one magic word, and they explode. They are not free. You are building a life of freedom. That freedom begins with a boundary. That boundary is not a wall you build around you to keep people out. It is a filter you install in your mind. This filter asks 3 questions before letting any comment affect your emotional state. Is this true? Is this helpful? Does this person's opinion matter to my long-term purpose?
If the answer is no, the words are dissolved. They do not pass the filter. They are noise. As we move through this audiobook, we will get into the specific techniques of what to say. We will learn how to turn the tables, how to use silence, and how to assert dominance without raising your voice. But none of those techniques will work if you are bleeding internally. If you are hurt, your voice will waver. If you are angry, your timing will be off. If you are desperate for approval, your eyes will betray you. You must heal the wound before you enter the fight. You must decide right now that your self-worth is non-negotiable. It is not on the table for discussion. It is not a stock that fluctuates based on the market opinion of the people around you. Your value is an absolute constant. When you know this, really know this in your bones, disrespect feels different. It feels almost comical. It's like a toddler trying to tackle a linebacker. It's physically impossible for them to move you. So here is your task. For the rest of this journey, visualize every insult, every rude comment, every slight as a physical object. A box, a stone, a slimy handful of mud. See the person holding it out to you. See their desperation for you to take it. And then visualize yourself keeping your hands in your pockets. Visualize yourself smiling, stepping around them, and continuing on your path. The gift remains with them. The poison remains in their veins, not yours. You are safe. You are separate. You are in control. This is the foundation. Without this, you have nothing. With this, you have everything. You have cleared the ground. You have poured the concrete. Now, we can begin to build the walls. The first wall we will build is the wall of time, the space between the event and the reaction, the moment where most people lose the battle, and where you will learn to win it. Chapter 2. The pause that kills. The most dangerous moment in any confrontation is not when the insult is spoken. It is the split second immediately after. That fraction of a second is where battles are lost. It is where careers are ruined. It is where relationships are shattered. In that tiny sliver of time, your brain makes a decision that will define your future.
Someone disrespects you. Maybe they interrupt you in a meeting. Maybe they insult your partner. Maybe they belittle your dreams. Boom. The stimulus hits. In that instant, your biology betrays you. Your stomach drops. Your heart hammers against your ribs. Heat floods your face. This is the flinch. It is the prehistoric part of your brain screaming, threat, attack, defend. Most people obey this scream. They open their mouths and let the reaction vomit out. They stutter a defense. They yell back, or they look down, signaling submission. They react instantly. And because they react instantly, they lose. Why? Because speed is the enemy of power. When you react immediately, you are operating on instinct, not intelligence. You are a reflex. You are no different than a knee kicking when the doctor taps it with a rubber hammer. A reflex has no strategy. A reflex has no dignity. To master verbal self-defense, you must conquer this split second. You must learn to expand that tiny sliver of time into a vast, silent canyon. This is the pause that kills. It is not a passive wait. It is not hesitation. It is a weaponized silence. It is a deliberate, terrifying stillness that freezes the room and shifts the power dynamic instantly. Let's analyze the mechanics of a verbal attack. When someone insults you, they are expecting a specific rhythm. They throw a punch, the insult, and they expect a reaction, the block or the counterpunch. It is a dance. They know the steps. They know that if they push you, you will push back. When you pause, you break the rhythm. You trip the music. Imagine a tennis player swinging their racket with full force, expecting to hit the ball, but the ball simply stops in midair. The player would stumble. They would lose their balance. They would look foolish. That is what the pause does to an aggressor. When they finish their sentence and you do not reply, you create a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the human ego. The silence that follows an insult is heavy. It is awkward. And here is the secret. The awkwardness lands on the person who spoke last. By saying nothing, you force their words to hang in the air. Without your reaction to validate them, their words sound harsh, petty, or crazy. The aggressor starts to hear the echo of their own voice. They start to wonder, did I go too far? Why aren't they saying anything? Are they looking at me like that because I'm an idiot? This is the kill. You are killing their confidence without speaking a single syllable. But achieving this state requires mastering your own physiology. You cannot fake this. If you pause, but you look terrified, you will look weak. If you pause, but you are visibly trembling with rage, you look like a ticking time bomb. The pause must be cold. It must be clinical. How do you do this? You must train your override switch. When the insult lands, your internal monologue will be screaming. You must have a pre-programmed command that overrides the scream. It's a mental trigger. For some, it is the word stop. For others, it is detach. Visualize a circuit breaker in your house. When the power surges too high, the breaker trips to save the house from burning down. You must install a mental circuit breaker. When the emotional surge hits, click. You cut the power to your mouth. You do not speak, you do not sigh, you do not roll your eyes. You go still. This stillness is terrifying to insecure people. Insecure people need noise. They need chaos to hide their flaws. When you present them with absolute stillness, you become a mirror. They look at you, but they see themselves, and they hate what they see. Let's talk about the duration. How long is the pause? It needs to be longer than comfortable. A 1-second pause is a breath. A 3-second pause is a statement. A 5-second pause is an interrogation. Count it in your head. 1, 2, 3. During these 3 seconds, maintain eye contact. We will discuss eye contact deeper in the next chapter, but for now, know this. Do not look away. Looking away signals shame. It signals that you have been hit. You must look through them. Look at them as if you are a scientist studying a strange new species of insect. This is the analytical gaze. You are not looking at them with anger. You are looking at them with curiosity. You are thinking, I wonder why this person is so unhappy that they need to lash out at me. This subtle shift in your mindset, from victim to observer, changes your micro-expressions. Your face relaxes, your brows unknit. You look calm. And there is nothing more infuriating to an aggressor than a target that refuses to be hit. Let's apply this to a real-world scenario. You are at a family gathering. An uncle makes a rude comment about your career. Still working that little job of yours? When are you going to get a real career? The table goes quiet. Everyone looks at you. The pressure is on. The amateur reacts fast. It's not a little job. Actually, I make good money. Defensive. Weak. You are justifying yourself to someone who doesn't care. The master uses the pause. The uncle speaks. You hear the insult. You feel the flash of annoyance. Click. You trip the breaker. You turn to him. You look him directly in the eyes. You say nothing. 1, 2, 3. The silence stretches. The other guests start to feel uncomfortable, not for you, but for him. The uncle shifts in his seat. He tries to fill the silence. I was just joking. Don't take it so seriously. He is retreated. He has exposed his own rudeness. You didn't do anything. You just waited. Now you have the high ground. You can choose to change the subject, or you can ask a clarifying question, which we will cover later. But the initial attack has been neutralized. The pause also gives you the most valuable resource in a conflict: processing time. When you are under attack, your IQ drops. The fight or flight chemicals make you stupid. They shut down the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, strategy, and complex thought. This is why you always think of the perfect comeback 2 hours later when you are driving home. That is when your brain has come back online. The pause buys you time to reboot. Even 3 seconds is enough for your prefrontal cortex to flicker back to life. It allows you to ask yourself, is this worth a response? What is the best way to handle this? What is the outcome I want? You are moving from a checkers player, reacting to the move right in front of you, to a chess player, thinking 3 moves ahead. This requires immense discipline. It goes against every instinct you have. Your body wants to close the loop. It wants to relieve the tension by speaking. You must learn to sit in the tension. You must learn to enjoy the tension. Think of the pause as a spotlight. When the attacker speaks, they shine the spotlight on you. They want to expose your flaws. By pausing, you take that spotlight, turn it around, and shine it directly into their eyes. You blind them with their own glare. There is a concept in Japanese martial arts called mai. It refers to the engagement distance, the space between opponents. If you are too close, you get hit. If you are too far, you cannot strike. The master controls the distance. The pause is how you control the psychological distance. You are stepping back, out of range of their emotional fists. You are watching them swing at the air. But be warned, the pause is aggressive. Do not mistake it for passivity. It is a dominance display. In the animal kingdom, the alpha does not jitter. The alpha does not bark at every snapping dog. The lion watches. The lion is still. It is the prey that is twitchy. It is the prey that is constantly moving. When you adopt the stillness of the predator, people feel it. They may not understand why, but they will feel a sudden drop in their own confidence. They will feel that you are not someone to be trifled with. You are training people on how to treat you. If you react to every prod, you are teaching them that you have buttons, and those buttons work. Push here for anger, push here for tears, push here for an argument. When you pause, you disconnect the buttons. They push, and nothing happens. The machine is broken. Eventually, they stop pushing. They move on to an easier target. Practicing this begins in low-stakes environments. Do not wait for a massive confrontation to try this. Practice the pause in everyday life. When someone asks you a question, wait 2 seconds before answering. When you are negotiating a price, state your number and then shut up. When there is a lull in conversation, do not rush to fill it with chatter. Let the silence sit. Get comfortable with the void. You will find that the urge to fill the silence is actually a form of anxiety. It is a need to please. It is a need to make sure everyone is okay. But in the face of disrespect, you are not there to please. You are not there to make sure the attacker is okay. You are there to protect your dignity. The pause serves one final purpose. It preserves your energy. Conflict is exhausting. Arguments are draining. When you engage in a verbal spar, you are leaking energy. You are wasting valuable resources that could be used for growth. When you practice the pause, you are conserving that energy. You are using it to build internal strength. You are using it to reinforce your boundaries. You are using it to teach yourself that you are enough. You are not attempting to change the other person. You are not trying to win an argument. You are merely stating what you will tolerate. You are giving away your vital life force to someone who doesn't deserve it. By pausing, you conserve your power. You keep your energy contained within your own fortress. You remain fresh while they tire themselves out trying to get a reaction. So, the next time the insult comes, and it will come, remember this chapter. Feel the heat. Feel the urge to snap back. And then, do nothing. Hold the silence. Watch their eyes. Wait. Let them sit in the mess they made. The pause is not empty. It is full of power. It is the sound of you taking control. Now that we have stopped time, we must fill the visual space. You're silent, but your body is still speaking. The way you look at them during the pause will determine whether they retreat or attack again. We must master the nonverbal. We must master the gaze. Chapter 3. The Sound of Power. If you watched a movie with the sound turned off, could you tell who the leader was? You wouldn't be able to hear their title. You wouldn't know their salary. You wouldn't hear their commands. But you would know. You would know by the way they stood. You would know by the way others oriented their bodies toward them. You would know by the speed of their movements. Research suggests that up to 93% of communication is nonverbal. This means that before you have even opened your mouth to defend yourself against disrespect, you have already told the attacker whether you are a victim or a victor. Most people obsess over the script. They lay awake at night thinking, I should have said this, or next time I'll tell them that. But the script is secondary. If you deliver a powerful line with a shaky voice, hunched shoulders, and darting eyes, the line will fail. The words will say, I am strong, but the music will say, I am afraid. Chapter 3 is about fixing the music. It is about the sound of power, which, ironically, often begins with no sound at all. We are going to dismantle the physical signals of submission and replace them with the signals of high-status authority. When you master this, you will find that people disrespect you less often. Predators look for the weak. They look for the limping gazelle. When you stop moving like prey, the predators stop chasing you. Let's start with the eyes. The eyes are the primary weapon of social dominance. In the animal kingdom, staring is an act of aggression. If you stare down a dog, it will either submit or attack. Humans are no different. We just disguise it with social niceties. When someone disrespects you, your natural instinct, the submission instinct, is to look away. You look down at your shoes. You look to the side. This is a biological yield. You are exposing your neck. You're telling the aggressor, you are the alpha, I do not challenge you. You must override this instinct. When the insult lands, your eyes must lock onto theirs. But not all eye contact is created equal. There is scared eye contact, where your eyes are wide and pleading. There is angry eye contact, where your brows are furrowed and your jaw is tight. Both of these betray emotion. Both of these tell the attacker they have successfully triggered you. You need to master the investigative gaze. Imagine you are an art appraiser looking at a painting that might be a fake. You aren't angry at the painting. You are just studying it. You are looking for cracks. You are looking for flaws. When someone speaks disrespectfully, soften your face, relax your jaw, and then look directly at the bridge of their nose, right between their eyes. This is a psychological trick. To them, it looks like you are making intense eye contact, but because you aren't locking pupil to pupil, you don't feel the intensity as much as they do. It shields you while unsettling them. Maintain this gaze. Do not blink excessively. Rapid blinking is a sign of high stress. Slow your blink rate. This signals that your nervous system is calm. It signals that you are not in danger. While you are holding this gaze, you are going to adjust your posture. Disrespect makes us want to shrink. We hunch our shoulders to protect our vital organs. We cross our arms to build a barrier. We make ourselves small. This is the physical manifestation of shame. You must do the opposite. You must take up space. If you are standing, plant your feet shoulder-width apart. This is your base. If you are knocked, you will not fall. Uncross your arms. Expose your chest. This is a subconscious signal of fearlessness. It says, I am not afraid of your attack. I do not need a shield. If you are sitting, lean back. Leaning forward is often a sign of eagerness or a desperate need to be heard. Leaning back signals comfort. It signals that you are evaluating the situation from a position of luxury. This combination, the investigative gaze and the open posture, creates a dissonance in the aggressor's brain. They are throwing attack energy at you, but you are reflecting relaxed energy back. This disrupts their momentum.
They expect a fight or a flight. You are doing neither. You are simply being. Now, let's talk about the voice. The sound of power is not loud. In fact, shouting is often a sign of weakness. The person who screams the loudest is usually the one who feels the least heard. A true king or queen does not need to shout to get the attention of the court, they simply speak. There are 3 vocal habits that destroy your authority. Speed, talking too fast. Filler, using like, and you know. Upspeak, ending sentences with a rising inflection. When you are nervous, you talk fast. You are trying to get the words out before you are interrupted. You are trying to explain yourself. Fast talking signals anxiety. It signals that you don't believe your time is valuable, so you are rushing to get off the stage. Slow down. When you respond to disrespect, speak at 75% of your normal speed. Enunciate every consonant. Give the words weight. When you speak slowly, you force the other person to wait for you. You force them to tune into your frequency. It signals that you are comfortable holding the floor. Next, eliminate the filler words.
If you need a moment to think, do not say, just be silent. We return to the power of the pause. A silent pause makes you look thoughtful. A vocalized pause, makes you look uncertain. Finally, and most importantly, you must kill the upspeak. Upspeak is the habit of lifting your pitch at the end of a sentence. It makes a statement sound like a question. I don't appreciate that tone. I disagree with you. When you use upspeak, you are asking for permission. You are asking the listener to validate your statement. You are handing them your power. You must use the downward inflection. Imagine the period at the end of your sentence is a heavy stone dropping to the floor. Your pitch should go down. I don't appreciate that tone. I disagree with you. This is the tonality of command. It is the tonality of law enforcement, of pilots, of executives. It signals finality. It tells the listener, this is not a negotiation. This is a fact. Practice this. Record your voice. Say the phrase, I am not going to do that. First, say it with upspeak. Notice how weak it sounds. Then say it with a downward inflection. Notice how it sounds like an order. When you combine these elements, the unshakable gaze, the open posture, the slow tempo, and the downward inflection, you create a field of authority. Let's put this into a scenario. You are at a dinner party. Someone makes a joke at your expense. John is always the last one to get the check, isn't he? The table laughs nervously. The spotlight is on you. The victim response. You hunch your shoulders. You give a fake, tight smile. You speak quickly and high-pitched. No, actually, I paid last time, remember? I'm just looking for my wallet. You have signaled submission. You are explaining yourself. You are seeking their approval. The power response. Body. You do not flinch. You lean back in your chair. You take up space. Eyes. You turn your head slowly. You lock on to them with the investigative gaze. You do not smile. You look at the bridge of their nose. Silence. You wait 3 seconds. You let the laughter die down. You let the silence become awkward. I don't think that's true, Mark. Silence again. You hold the gaze after you finish speaking. The energy at the table shifts instantly. You haven't caused a scene. You haven't shouted. But you have sucked the oxygen out of their joke. Mark looks petty. You look unbothered. You have established that you are not a target. This requires courage. It feels dangerous to drop the social mask of niceness. We are conditioned to smooth things over. We are conditioned to laugh at jokes that aren't funny to avoid tension. But remember, you are not creating the tension. The person who disrespected you created the tension. You are simply refusing to absorb it. You are letting the tension sit where it belongs, with them. There is a subtle art to the volume of your voice as well. There is a technique known as the whisper of God. It is used by high-level negotiators. When things get heated, when the other person starts raising their voice, you do not match them. You go lower. As they get louder, you get quieter. This forces them to stop shouting to hear you. It also juxtaposes their emotional instability against your total control. If they are screaming and you are speaking in a calm, low baritone, they look hysterical. You look rational. The audience, whether it's other people in the room or just your own conscience, will always side with the person who appears to be in control of themselves. Mastering the sound of power is about stripping away the noise. It is about minimalism. Insecure people are maximalists. They use too many words, too many gestures, too much volume. They are a storm of chaotic energy. Secure people are minimalists. Minimal movement, minimal words, maximum impact. Think of a mountain. A mountain does not scream at the wind. It does not move when it rains. It just sits there. Its power comes from its immovability. You are becoming the mountain. This transformation of your physical and vocal presence does something else, something magical. It changes how you feel internally. There's a feedback loop between your body and your brain. If you act frightened, you will feel frightened. But if you force your body to act confident, if you force your breathing to slow, your chest to open, and your voice to drop, your brain receives the signal, oh, we must be safe. We must be in charge. This is how you hack your own psychology. You don't wait to feel confident before you act confident. You act confident to become confident. So, before you walk into that difficult meeting, before you go to that family reunion, set your instrument. Check your feet. Open your chest. Relax your jaw. Decide in advance that you will speak slowly. Decide in advance that you will not smile to appease others. You are wearing the uniform of a general. When you wear the uniform, you must act the part. We have now fortified your mind, the poisoned gift, mastered the timeline, the pause, and established your physical presence, the sound of power. You are now a fortress. You are ready to open the gates and engage the enemy. The next step is the first verbal strike. It is time to learn how to use their own words against them. It is time to learn the art of reflection. Chapter 4. The Mirror Effect. When someone attacks you verbally, your brain screams one specific command: defend. If someone calls you lazy, you instinctually want to list all the work you've done. If someone calls you a liar, you want to present the evidence of your truth. If someone mocks your appearance, you want to counterattack or hide. This instinct, while natural, is fatal. The moment you begin to defend yourself, you have lost the frame. You have accepted the premise of the attacker. If I say, "You are a thief," and you say, "I am not a thief," we are now having a conversation about whether or not you steal. I have set the topic. I have put you on the witness stand. Even if you win the argument, you have spent your energy dancing to my tune. To master verbal self-defense, you must never accept the premise. You must never step onto the witness stand. Instead, you must become the judge. We achieve this through a technique called the mirror effect. The mirror effect is based on a simple linguistic truth. Statements surrender power. Questions seize it. Think about a police interrogation. Who has the power? Is it the person talking the most? No. It is the person asking the questions. The person asking the questions controls the direction of the conversation. The person answering is the one under pressure. When someone disrespects you, they are usually making a statement. You're useless. This idea is stupid. You always mess things up. If you respond with a statement, "No, I'm not," or "That's mean," you are clashing force against force. The mirror effect teaches you to catch their statement and reflect it back to them as a question. You do not absorb the insult. You bounce it off your shield so it hits the person who threw it. Let's look at the first and most versatile tool in the mirror arsenal, the clarifying question. This is the ultimate weapon against passive-aggressive comments and sarcasm. Sarcasm relies on shared understanding. It relies on the wink and nod, the assumption that everyone knows what the insults mean without having to say them explicitly. Sarcasm hides in the shadows of subtext. The clarifying question drags the insult out into the harsh light of day. Imagine a coworker says, "Wow, nice outfit. Going to a costume party?" Your gut reaction might be to get offended or to make a self-deprecating joke. Instead, activate the mirror. Look them in the eye using the investigative gaze from Chapter 3 and ask calmly, "What do you mean by that?" This sounds simple, but it is devastating. You have forced them to explain the joke. And here is the golden rule of comedy. If you have to explain the joke, it isn't funny anymore. Now they have two choices. Choice A, they double down and look like a bully. I mean, you look ridiculous. Most people are too cowardly to say this directly. Choice B, they retreat. Oh, I was just kidding, it's just a bright shirt. By asking, what do you mean? You strip away the cover of humor. You force them to convert their emotional jab into a logical explanation. Malice rarely survives the transition to logic. Let's try another variation. The literal repetition. Sometimes the disrespect is shocking. It is so rude that you can't believe they said it. In this case, simply repeat their words back to them, verbatim, in a slow, flat tone. Attacker. This report is garbage. You, pausing first, then speaking slowly. Did you just say that my report is garbage? Note that you are not shouting, you are not outraged, you are simply verifying the data. This technique works because most disrespect is impulsive. It bypasses the attacker's filter. When you repeat their words back to them, you act as a literal mirror. You let them hear what they sound like. Often, hearing their own words repeated by a calm voice makes them realize how unprofessional or unhinged they sound. They will usually backtrack. Well, I didn't mean garbage, I just meant it needs work. You have successfully de-escalated the attack and forced a correction without ever defending the quality of your report. You didn't say, I worked hard on this. You simply held up the mirror. The third tool in the mirror effect is the intent probe. This is for when you want to expose the manipulator. This is for the person who is trying to hurt you, but pretending to help, the frenemy. Let's say a family member says, I'm just saying, maybe you shouldn't aim so high with your business. I don't want to see you fail again. On the surface, this looks like concern. Underneath, it is an attempt to undermine your confidence. Do not argue your business plan. Do not get angry. Use the intent probe. Ask, are you trying to be helpful, or are you trying to discourage me? Or, what is your goal in telling me that right now? This is a meta question. You are stopping the conversation to talk about the conversation. You are exposing the machinery. When you ask, what is your goal, you jam the gears of their manipulation. They cannot say, my goal is to make you feel small because I am jealous. So they are forced to say, I'm trying to help, to which you can reply, it doesn't sound helpful, it sounds critical. You have drawn a boundary without a fight. You have simply identified the reality of the interaction. Why does the mirror effect work so well on a neurological level? It exploits the difference between the emotional brain, the limbic system, and the logical brain, the prefrontal cortex. When someone attacks you, they are usually operating from their emotional brain. They are riding a wave of anger, arrogance, or annoyance. They are in flow. When you ask a question, you force them to access their logical brain. You cannot answer a question with pure emotion. You have to think. You have to process syntax. You have to search for vocabulary. This switch from emotion to logic kills their momentum. It is like shifting a car from fifth gear directly into first gear. The engine stalls. The anger dissipates because the brain is suddenly busy trying to process your inquiry. This is why bullies hate being questioned. They want a reaction, not an interview. Let's look at a more advanced application, the feigned ignorance. This is particularly effective against bigots, sexists, or anyone making inappropriate jokes in a professional setting. Someone tells an offensive joke. Instead of lecturing them on why it's offensive, which makes you look uptight to the group, you simply pretend you don't understand. I don't get it. Can you explain why that's funny? Watch them squirm. Watch them try to explain the mechanics of their racism or sexism. They will stumble. They will mutter. The air will go out of the room. You didn't attack them. You just asked for clarification. You held up the mirror, and the reflection was ugly. They did the work of humiliating themselves. All you did was hand them the shovel. There is a subtle power dynamic here regarding status. In any social hierarchy, the person who is trying to impress or explain themselves to the other is the lower status individual. The king asks questions. The knight answers them. The CEO asks questions. The manager answers them. The judge asks questions. The defendant answers them. By defaulting to questions, you artificially inflate your status. You position yourself as the evaluator of the interaction. You are the one grading their paper. Why would you say that? Do you realize how that sounds? Are you having a bad day? These are the questions of a superior speaking to a subordinate. Even if the person is your boss, using this tonality, respectfully, shifts the psychological weight. It suggests that you are the stable one and they are the volatile one who needs to be managed. However, a warning, your tone is everything. If you ask these questions with sarcasm, you are not using the mirror effect, you are just fighting back. Oh, what do you mean by that? Spoken with a sneer is just another insult. The mirror must be clean. It must be polished. You must ask these questions with a tone of genuine, flat curiosity. You must sound like a doctor asking a patient where it hurts. The more neutral you are, the more effective the reflection. If you are emotional, the mirror is cracked. The reflection is distorted by your own anger. When you are neutral, the reflection is perfect, and the attacker cannot escape seeing themselves. Let's practice a scenario. The interrupter. You are speaking in a meeting, and a colleague cuts you off aggressively. Yeah, we get it. Move on. Let me finish. You stop. You look at them. You ask, are you interrupting me because you have something to add, or because you don't want to hear what I have to say? Or, simpler, I wasn't finished. Why did you cut me off? This is a high-stakes move. It creates tension. But remember, we are not afraid of tension. We are using tension. By asking why, you expose their rudeness. Usually they will mumble, I just want to save time. You reply, I will be brief, but I will finish. You have reclaimed the floor. You have signaled to the room that you are not to be bulldozed. There is one final variation of the mirror effect that is perhaps the most powerful of all, the silence mirror. We touched on silence in Chapter 2, but here we use it specifically as a reflector. When someone says something truly absurd or insulting, you don't even need a question. You just look at them. You look at them as if they have spinach in their teeth. You look at them as if they just started speaking a foreign language. You let their words hang there, naked and shivering. Eventually, they will try to fix it. They will start talking again to fill the silence. I'm just saying, it's just that they are now negotiating with themselves. They are bidding against themselves. You haven't done anything. You are just the mirror. The beauty of the mirror effect is that it requires very little creative energy from you. You don't need to be witty. You don't need to have a library of comebacks. You just need to listen to what they said and feed it back to them. They provide the ammunition. You just pull the trigger. This preserves your mental energy. When you defend yourself, you are burning calories. You are stressing your system. When you use the mirror, you are cool. You are observing. You are essentially saying, here, you dropped this. I don't want it. Let's summarize the framework for Chapter 4. When the insult lands, do not defend. Do not explain. Do not deny. Pause. Chapter 2. Reflect. Use a question to bounce the energy back. What do you mean by that? Can you repeat that? Are you trying to be hurtful? Wait. Let them struggle to answer. As you practice this, you will notice a shift in how people treat you. People who are used to getting a rise out of others will find you boring. You are not a fun toy to play with because you don't squeak when they squeeze you. You just stare back. They will move on. But what if the attacker is smart? What if they realize what you are doing? What if they say, "Don't play games with me"? Then you move to the next level of the arsenal. You move from the mirror, reflection, to the Aikido, redirection. You learn to agree with them in a way that makes them powerless. You learn to take the wind out of their sails by refusing to be an opponent at all. But for now, master the question. The question is your shield. The question is your spotlight. Stop answering. Start asking. Chapter 5. Verbal Aikido. Imagine a bull charging at a matador. The bull is 1,000 pounds of muscle, rage, and horn. The matador is a fragile human being. If the matador tries to stop the bull by standing in front of it and pushing back, he will die. Force against force results in the destruction of the weaker object. So what does the matador do? He steps aside. He uses his cape to guide the bull's momentum past him. The bull charges with full fury, hitting nothing but air. The bull exhausts itself attacking a ghost, while the matador remains untouched, elegant, and in control. This is the essence of verbal Aikido. In the previous chapter, we discussed the mirror effect, reflecting the attack. In this chapter, we discuss something even more counterintuitive, agreeing with it. This sounds insane to the untrained mind. Why would I agree with someone who is disrespecting me? Won't that make me look weak? The answer is no. Resistance creates conflict. Non-resistance creates confusion. When you argue with someone, you provide them with a surface to push against. You give them the friction they need to sustain their anger. When you remove the resistance, they fall forward. They lose their balance. Verbal Aikido is the art of yielding to win. It is the strategic application of agreement to disarm an opponent instantly. It is based on the principle that it takes two people to have a fight, but only one to end it. Let's dissect the mechanics of an argument. An argument is essentially a loop. Person A, you are incompetent. Person B, no, I'm not. Person A, yes, you are. Look at what you did. Person B, that wasn't my fault. This loop can continue forever. It escalates until someone shouts or leaves. The aggressor is looking for the no. They are looking for the denial. The denial validates their aggression. It proves that they have struck a nerve. Now, imagine the loop is broken. Person A, you were incompetent. Person B, you might be right. I certainly have a lot to learn. Silence. Where does the aggressor go from here? They cannot say, yes, you are, because you just agreed with them. The wind has been completely taken out of their sails. You have stolen their thunder. You have agreed with them, but you have done it with such calm confidence that it doesn't look like submission, it looks like untouchable humility. This technique is often called fogging. Imagine throwing a rock at a bank of fog. What happens? The rock goes right through. The fog does not crack, the fog does not fight back, it simply exists. It envelops the rock and remains unchanged. To become the fog, you must learn to distinguish between the truth of a statement and the insult wrapped around it. Most insults contain a grain of truth, or at least a grain of probability. You're lazy. Maybe you did procrastinate today. You're selfish. Maybe you did prioritize your needs yesterday. The amateur gets hung up on the word lazy or selfish and fights the label. The master accepts the possibility of the behavior without accepting the label of the character. Let's look at the specific techniques of verbal Aikido. Technique 1, the partial agreement, agreeing in principle. This is used when the attacker makes a sweeping generalization. They use words like always, never, or everyone. You always forget to lock the door. You are never on time. If you fight the logic, like, I was on time last Tuesday, you are in a petty debate. Instead, use the partial agreement. You agree with the logic, not the absolute. Attacker. You are so disorganized, your desk is a mess. You're right, my desk is definitely cluttered today. Notice what you did. You agreed that the desk is cluttered today. You did not agree that you were a disorganized person. You limited the scope of the agreement to the undeniable physical reality. By admitting the truth, the desk is messy, you prove that you are rational. You prove that you are not defensive. When you agree with the truth, the attacker is disarmed. They were ready for a fight about your character. You gave them a fact about a table. Technique 2. The negative assertion. Own the flaw. This is the nuclear option for dealing with criticism. It involves owning your mistake so completely and confidently that the critic has nothing left to do. Let's say you made a mistake at work. A colleague tries to rub your face in it to humiliate you in front of others. Colleague, I can't believe you missed that typo. That's so unprofessional. The defensive response, I was tired. I have a lot on my plate. It's just one letter? Weak. Excuses. The Aikido response, you are absolutely right. It was a careless mistake. I need to be more thorough next time. Say this with a flat, calm voice. Do not look down. Look them in the eye. You have just performed a psychological magic trick. By criticizing yourself before they can continue, you have taken their weapon away. What can they say now? Yeah, you do need to be more thorough. You just said that. They can only repeat what you already admitted. When you own your flaws, nobody can use them against you. As Tyrion Lannister said, wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you. The aggressor wants to make you feel shame. When you admit the mistake without showing shame, when you admit it as a cold, hard fact, you deny them the emotional payoff. You show them that your self-esteem is independent of your performance. You can make a mistake and still be a high-value person. Technique 3, the yes and, the reframe. In improvisational comedy, the cardinal rule is yes and. You accept what the other person establishes, and then you add to it. In verbal Aikido, we use this to pivot the energy. We replace the word but with and. But is a wall, and is a bridge. I see your point, but creates resistance. I see your point, and creates flow. Let's say someone attacks your ambition. You're crazy for trying to start that business. You're going to lose all your money. The resistance. I'm not crazy. You just don't understand the market. The Aikido, yes, and it is a high-risk venture, you're right. And that's exactly why I'm so excited about the potential rewards. Do you see the pivot? You accepted their premise, it is risky or crazy, and you use that very energy to fuel your own positive conclusion. That's why it's exciting. You didn't block the punch, you grabbed their fist and used it to pull yourself forward. This works beautifully with insults about personality traits. Attacker, you are so stubborn. I can be very stubborn, yes, and that persistence is what helps me finish difficult projects. You have just reframed stubbornness, a negative, into persistence, a positive, without denying the trait. You have accepted the raw data, but changed the interpretation.
This leaves the attacker confused. They meant to insult you, but you took it as a compliment. Technique 4. The probability agreement. Sometimes the insult is about the future. It's a prediction of your failure. You're going to regret this. You'll never make it. You cannot prove them wrong with facts because the future hasn't happened yet. If you argue, you sound insecure. Instead, agree with the probability. Attacker, this plan is going to fail disastrously. It's certainly possible that it could fail. There are no guarantees. Again, you are the fog. You are admitting that failure is a possibility. This makes you sound incredibly grounded and realistic. Most people expect you to be blindly optimistic. When you are realistic, you sound like the adult in the room. It is possible I'll fail, but I'm willing to take the chance. This shuts down the fear-mongering. They are trying to scare you. You are saying, I see the fear and I accept it. Fear cannot manipulate someone who has already accepted the worst-case scenario.
The psychology of yielding. Why is this so hard to do? Why does every fiber of our being want to fight back? Because the ego equates agreement with submission. The ego thinks that if I say, "You're right," I am losing status. You must retrain your mind to understand that in this context, agreement is a trap. It is a strategic maneuver. Think of a quicksand pit. If you struggle, you sink. If you lie still and spread your arms, you float. Verbal Aikido is the art of floating. The person attacking you is expecting resistance. They are keyed up for a battle. Their adrenaline is pumping. When you agree with them, you create a compliance vacuum. They push and fall through the open door. Often, they will feel foolish. They will stumble over their words. Oh, well, good that you admit it then. They have nowhere to go. The interaction is over. You have ended the conflict in 2 sentences. Let's apply this to a high-tension scenario, the relationship fight. Your partner is screaming. They are emotional. They are saying things they might not fully mean. You don't care about this family. You're just obsessed with your work. You're selfish. Option A, resistance. How dare you? I work hard for this family. You're the one who is ungrateful. Result, explosion, tears, hours of misery. Option B, Aikido. You listen. You wait for the pause. You say gently, "You're right. I have been working a lot lately. I can see why you would feel that I'm being selfish with my time." Watch the energy in the room drop instantly. You didn't admit to not caring about the family. You admitted to working a lot and validated their feeling. By agreeing with their perspective, I can see why you would feel that I'm being selfish with my time. You validate their emotion. And when people feel heard, they stop shouting. The fight drains out of them. Now you can have a constructive conversation about work-life balance. This is not manipulation. It is empathy weaponized for peace. It is understanding that the other person is in pain, and instead of shooting them, you are disarming them by acknowledging the pain. The "you're right" maneuver. There is a specific phrase that acts as a master key to human conflict. That phrase is, "You might be right." Note the word might. It is a soft agreement. It acknowledges possibility without confirming certainty. You might be right. That tie looks terrible. You might be right. It is a bold choice. You're making a huge mistake. You might be right. We shall see. This phrase is the ultimate shrug. It signals total detachment. It says, I am comfortable with the possibility of being wrong. I'm comfortable with your opinion differing from mine. I'm comfortable with uncertainty. Insecure people crave certainty. They need to know they are right. When you live in the might, you are untouchable. When not, to use Aikido. A warning. Verbal Aikido is for subjective opinions, emotional outbursts, and general rudeness. It is not for factual accusations of serious wrongdoing that are false. If someone says, you stole money from the register, do not say, you might be right. That is a legal admission. If someone says, you harassed that employee, do not say, I can see why you'd think that. For serious, objective, false accusations, you use the iron boundary, which we will cover in the next chapter. Verbal Aikido is for the social dance of disrespect, the insults, the jabs, the criticisms, the ego battles. It is not for legal defense. The inner state of the Aikido master. To execute this, you must have zero ego. You must be willing to look wrong in the moment to be right in the outcome. The outcome you want is peace and dignity. Fighting in the mud gives you neither. When you practice this, you will feel a strange sensation. At first, it feels like swallowing your pride. It feels bitter. But a second later, you feel a rush of power.
You realize that you just controlled another human being's emotional state. You turned off their anger like flipping a light switch.
You realize that the person shouting is the puppet, and you are the one holding the strings. By refusing to pull back, you made them dance. This is the ultimate dominance. It is the dominance of the adult over the toddler. When a toddler screams, "I hate you," the parent doesn't scream back, "I hate you too." The parent says, "I know you're upset. It's okay." The parent is too big to be hurt by the toddler. You must become too big to be hurt by the disrespect. Your agreement is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of largesse. You are generous enough to give them the win because you don't need it. So the next time someone thrusts a sword at you, do not pull out your shield. Do not pull out your own sword. Step to the side. Watch the blade pass by. Say, "Nice thrust, you have good form," and walk away. You have preserved your energy, you have preserved your dignity, and you have left them swinging at the air, unbalanced and confused. This is the soft path. But sometimes the soft path is not enough. Sometimes the attacker keeps coming. Sometimes the disrespect is not a one-time jab, but a persistent invasion of your territory. In those cases, you cannot be the fog. You must become the wall. You have learned to pause. You have learned to reflect. You have learned to yield. Now, you must learn to stop them cold. It is time to draw the line. It is time for the iron boundary. Chapter 6. The Iron Boundary. There comes a moment in every conflict where subtlety is no longer an option. We have talked about the soft arts, the silence, the reflection, the yielding. These are the tools of the diplomat. They are elegant. They are designed to save face and de-escalate without bloodshed. But the world is not always filled with rational actors. Sometimes you are dealing with a bully who mistakes silence for weakness. Sometimes you are dealing with a person who does not understand nuance. When the diplomat fails, the soldier must step forward. This chapter is about the iron boundary. It is about the ability to look another human being in the eye and say no further. Most people are terrified of this moment. They are terrified of drawing a hard line because they confuse assertion with aggression. They think that to be firm, they must be mean. They think that setting a boundary makes them a bad person. Let's correct this definition immediately. Aggression is attacking the other person's rights. It is shouting, insulting, or invading their space. Assertion is defending your own rights. It is stating clearly what you will and will not tolerate. Aggression is, "You are a loud-mouthed idiot." Assertion is, "I will not continue this conversation if you keep yelling at me." Do you hear the difference? Aggression focuses on them. Assertion focuses on you and your territory. The iron boundary is built on a single, non-negotiable principle. You get what you tolerate. If you tolerate lateness, people will be late. If you tolerate interruptions, people will interrupt. If you tolerate disrespect, people will disrespect you. You are constantly training the world on how to treat you. Every time you stay silent when a boundary is crossed, you are casting a vote for that behavior. You are signing a permission slip. The iron boundary is the act of revoking that permission. But a boundary is useless if it is just words. A boundary without a consequence is just a suggestion. It is a whine. "Please stop doing that" is a request. "If you do that again, I will leave" is a boundary. To construct an iron boundary, we need a structure that leaves no room for misinterpretation. We will use a framework I call the D script: describe, explain, request, and consequence. Step 1. Describe the behavior objectively. You must state exactly what is happening without emotion. Do not use labels. Do not say, "You're being a jerk." Say, "You are raising your voice." This anchors the conversation in reality.
They cannot deny the behavior if you describe it like a camera recording. Step 2. Explain the impact. Briefly state why this is a problem. It makes it impossible for us to solve this issue. Keep this short. Do not over-explain. You are not asking for their understanding. You are stating a fact. Step 3. Request the change, the boundary. State clearly what needs to happen. I need you to lower your voice. Step 4. The iron. This is the most important part. What happens if they don't comply? If you continue to shout, I am going to hang up the phone. Let's put it all together. Scenario. A boss is berating you in front of the team. You, calmly interrupting them if necessary, say, John, you are shouting at me in front of the staff. This is unprofessional and counterproductive.
I need us to discuss this privately in your office. If you continue to shout here, I will walk away and we can talk when things are calm. This is terrifying to say. Your heart will race, but look at the structure. You didn't insult him. You didn't shout. You simply drew a line in the sand. The moment you say this, the power shifts. You are no longer the victim taking a beating. You are the negotiator setting terms. Now, let's talk about the two-strike rule. You do not always need the full script. In casual settings or with friends, the full script can sound too robotic. Instead, use the two-strike rule. Strike 1, the warning shot. This is a gentle reminder. You assume they didn't mean it. You give them the benefit of the doubt. Hey, that's not cool. Let's not joke about that. Keep it light. Keep it breezy. This gives them a chance to self-correct without losing face. Strike 2, the iron gate. They did it again. They ignored the warning. Now the gate comes down. You drop the smile. You use the sound of power, downward inflection. I ask you not to speak to me like that. This conversation is over. And then, and this is critical, you must execute the consequence. If you said you would leave, you must leave. If you said you would hang up, you must hang up. The moment you set a boundary and fail to enforce it, you have taught them that you are a liar. You have taught them that your no actually means maybe. You have destroyed your own credibility. This is where most people fail. They fear the awkwardness of leaving. They fear the silence.
They fear the anger of the other person, so they stay. They complain, but they stay. You must be willing to walk away. The power in any negotiation belongs to the person who is most willing to walk away from the table. If you cannot walk away, you are not negotiating, you are begging. Let's discuss the broken record technique. Manipulators hate boundaries. When you set one, they will try to argue with it. They will try to guilt trip you. Oh, so you're too sensitive now? I was just trying to help and this is how you treat me? You're being ridiculous. Do not engage with the bait. Do not defend the boundary. Just repeat it. Attacker, you're being so sensitive. You, I am not going to discuss this topic with you. Attacker, but I have a right to my opinion. You, I understand that, but I am not going to discuss this topic with you. Why are you being like this? I am not going to discuss this topic with you. You become a broken record. You do not offer new information. You do not offer new arguments. You simply stand behind the wall. Eventually, they will realize that the wall is not moving, and they will stop throwing themselves against it. This requires stamina. The first time you set an iron boundary with a toxic parent or a controlling partner, they will escalate. This is called an extinction burst. Think of a vending machine. You put your money in, you press the button, and the soda doesn't come out. What do? You press the button again, harder. You shake the machine, you kick it. The machine used to work. You used to submit. Now it doesn't. So they are kicking you to see if they can make the old mechanism work one last time. Do not give in during the extinction burst. If you give in now, you teach them that no just means kick me harder. You must weather the storm. Once they realize the kicking doesn't work, the behavior will go extinct. Let's address the fear. I don't want to be mean. There is a myth that nice people are pushovers. This is false. True kindness requires boundaries. If you do not have boundaries, you will eventually resent the people around you. You will smile at them while secretly hating them for using you. That is not kindness. That is dishonesty. Setting a boundary is actually an act of respect for the relationship. You are saying, I value this relationship enough to tell you exactly what is required to maintain it. I am giving you the manual on how to be in my life. If they refuse to read the manual, they are choosing to leave your life. You are not kicking them out. They are opting out by refusing the terms of service. The "that does not work for me" phrase. There is a simple, all-purpose phrase that serves as a mini boundary in almost any situation. It is elegant, professional, and unarguable. That does not work for me. Boss, I need you to stay late again tonight. You, I'm sorry, but that doesn't work for me tonight. Friend, can we go to that cheap bar I like? You, that doesn't work for me. Let's go somewhere else. Why is this phrase so powerful? Because it is purely subjective. You are not saying the boss is evil. You are saying it doesn't work for you. Nobody can argue with your internal experience. They cannot prove that it does work for you. It is a closed loop. Dealing with interrupters, the stop hand. We talked about verbal responses to interruptions, but sometimes you need a physical boundary. When someone interrupts you, do not stop talking. Continue your sentence, but raise your hand in a stop gesture. Keep your palm open, facing them. Do not look at your hand. Keep your eyes on their eyes. This is a primal signal. The brain processes the stop hand faster than language. It signals halt. Combine this with the phrase, please let me finish. It is commanding. It establishes that you hold the floor. It is awkward, yes, but it is better to be awkward and respected than polite and ignored. The ultimate boundary, silence and access. If words fail, if consequences fail, if the person refuses to respect the iron boundary, you have one final move. You remove their access to you. You stop answering the phone. You stop attending the events where they are present. You block the number. This is not ghosting, which is cowardly. This is evacuation. You are evacuating a toxic zone. You do not owe anyone access to your life. Access is a privilege, not a right. If someone abuses the privilege, they lose it. This is the hardest boundary of all because it feels like a death. It feels like you are killing the relationship. And in a way you are. You are killing the version of the relationship where you are the doormat. But listen to me closely. The people who get the most upset about you setting boundaries are the ones who benefited the most from you having none. Their anger is not proof that you are wrong. Their anger is proof that the boundary was necessary. You are building a kingdom. A kingdom needs walls. A kingdom needs gates. A kingdom needs guards. If you leave the gates wide open, the barbarians will burn the library. Your mind is the library. Your peace is the treasure. Do not apologize for the wall. Do not apologize for the gate. Stand tall. This is who I am. This is what I accept. This is what I deny. This is the creed of the iron boundary. Now that we have established how to stop the heavy attacks with a wall, we need to learn how to handle the snipers, the people who don't attack directly but use jokes, intellect, and wit to undermine you. The wall is too clumsy for them. You need a rapier. You need precision. It is time to learn the art of the precision strike. Chapter 7. Precision strikes. Not all wars are fought with heavy artillery. Some are fought with needles. We have discussed the brute force of the shouter and the open aggression of the bully, but there is a different breed of antagonist who is far more insidious. This is the sniper. The sniper does not scream. The sniper smiles. They hide their disrespect inside jokes, backhanded compliments, and intellectual arrogance. They operate in the shadows of social plausibility. If you call them out clumsily, they can easily gasp and say, "I was only joking. You're so sensitive." They rely on the fact that you are too polite to make a scene. They rely on the social contract to keep you quiet while they bleed you dry with 1,000 tiny cuts. The iron boundary is too blunt for the sniper. You cannot build a wall against a mosquito. You need a swatter. You need precision. This chapter is about precision strikes. It is the art of using wit, brevity, and surgical exposure to neutralize the covert aggressor. The core philosophy of the precision strike is this: make the covert overt. The sniper's power comes from ambiguity. They say one thing, but mean another. Your job is to drag the hidden meaning out into the light where it cannot survive. Let's start with the most common weapon in the sniper's arsenal, the backhanded compliment. You look great. That dress really hides your weight gain. You're actually quite articulate for someone who didn't go to college. I love how you just don't care what people think of your work. These are Trojan horses. They look like gifts, but they are full of soldiers waiting to attack your self-esteem. If you say thank you, you accept the insult. If you get angry, you look ungrateful. The trap is set. How do you strike back? You use the translation. You simply translate their subtext into plain English and serve it back to them. Sniper: you're actually quite articulate for someone who didn't go to college. You, smiling efficiently: that sounds like a polite way of saying you're surprised I'm not stupid. Sniper: I love how you don't care about the quality of the presentation. You mean you think my standards are low? Do not say this with anger. Say it with the, I see what you did there, tone. You are decoding the message. When you translate the insult, the sniper panics. Their cover is blown. They have to either own the insult, which they're too cowardly to do, or retreat immediately. No, I didn't mean that. You have stripped the needle of its poison. Next, let's handle the joke. This is the favorite shield of the bully. They say something cruel, and when you react, they say, "Can't you take a joke?" The precision strike here involves refusing to accept the label of humor. Humor relies on a shared reality. When you don't laugh, you break the reality. Technique A: the literal deadpan. They tell the offensive joke. You do not smile. You do not frown. You look at them with zero emotion. I don't see the humor in that. Technique B: the wow maneuver. This is a single word that acts as a social judge. When someone says something truly out of pocket, something racist, sexist, or deeply personal, you don't need a speech. You just look at them, pause, and say, "Wow." Say it with a mix of shock and disappointment, like a parent watching a child eat dirt. "Wow." Then turn away. That single word signals, you have just violated the social norm so badly that I am stunned. It makes them feel incredibly small. It creates a vacuum of shame around them. Now let's talk about the intellectual bully. This is the person who tries to make you feel stupid. They use big words, industry jargon, or obscure references to assert dominance. They want you to nod along and pretend you understand so you don't look foolish. Do not play their game. The moment you nod when you don't understand, you have submitted. You have accepted your lower status. The precision strike here is the simplification. Intellectual bullies are terrified of simplicity because simplicity exposes whether or not they actually know what they are talking about. Bully: well, obviously, the juxtaposition of the vernacular paradigm is shifting towards a more esoteric modality. I'm not following. Can you explain that in plain English? Or, even better, if you can't explain it simply, I'm not sure you understand it well enough. This flips the script. Now, they are the ones on trial. If they can't explain it simply, they look like a fraud. If they can, then you get the information you needed without having to fake it. True intelligence is the ability to make complex things simple. Anyone who tries to make simple things complex is not smart. They are insecure. Expose them. Another tool for the intellectual bully is the correction. They love to correct your grammar or a minor factual detail while ignoring the main point of your argument. This is called
Pedantry. We need to fix the process. It's broken. Bully. It's broken. Apostrophe. They want you to get annoyed. They want to derail the train. The precision strike. The irrelevance filter. You acknowledge the correction but dismiss its value immediately. Thank you for the grammar lesson. Now, regarding the actual issue. Or, you are right about the spelling. You are wrong about the strategy. Let's focus on the strategy. You brush them off like lint on your jacket. You signal that you are concerned with big things, strategy, money, life, and they are concerned with little things, commas, typos. You are the general, they are the clerk. Let's move to the interrupter, advanced. We discussed the stop hand in the previous chapter, but sometimes you need a verbal scalpel. When someone consistently interrupts you, they are betting that you will stop talking. Most people do. The precision strike is the continuation. You simply do not stop talking. You do not raise your voice. You do not speed up. You just continue your sentence at the exact same volume and pace, as if they are not speaking. This creates the audio clash. Two people are speaking at once. It is incredibly awkward. Usually, the interrupter will stop because it is too chaotic. If they keep going, you stop. Wait for them to take a breath, and then say, I'm going to finish my sentence now. It is cold, it is direct, it is surgical. What about the gossip? The gossip tries to bond with you by disrespecting others. They come to you with secrets about a colleague or friend. Did you hear about Sarah? This is a trap. If you listen, you are complicit. If you join in, you gave them ammo to use against you later. And make no mistake, if they gossip to you, they will gossip about you. The precision strike is the defense of the absent. Gossip. Sarah is such a mess. I can't believe she got that promotion. I've actually always found Sarah to be very hardworking. Boom. The conversation hits a wall. The gossip cannot continue because the vibe has been killed. You have signaled that you are not a trash can for their negativity. You have signaled that you are loyal. This makes you dangerous to the gossip. They will stop bringing you their trash because you don't recycle it. Finally, let's discuss the art of brevity. In a verbal conflict, the person who speaks the most is usually losing. Over-talking is a sign of panic. It is a sign of, please understand me. Power is found in brevity. The precision strike often consists of 1 or 2 words. Is that so? Interesting. Noted. Okay, imagine you are negotiating. The other person gives you a lowball offer and a long speech about why it's a good deal. You look at them and say, no, and you wait. That single syllable is heavier than their entire speech. Or someone tries to guilt trip you into doing a favor. I've done so much for you. I can't believe you won't do this one thing. I understand you're upset. The answer is still no. You strip away the fluff. You strip away the emotional padding. You leave only the bone. The meta commentary. Sometimes the best way to handle a complex game is to stop playing the game and talk about the game. If someone is using a flurry of logical fallacies or gaslighting you or twisting your words, do not try to untangle the knot. Step back and point at the knot. I notice that every time I bring up X, you switch the topic to Y. I feel like we are arguing about semantics rather than the actual problem. You are laughing, but I am not making a joke. This is the God's eye view. You are elevating yourself above the maze. You are looking down at the interaction and describing the mechanics of it. This is devastating to manipulators because they rely on you being lost in the maze.
When you say, "I see the maze dissolves. The tone of the sniper. To execute precision strikes, you cannot sound agitated. The sniper wins if you lose your cool. Your tone must be bored amusement. You are not angry, you are unimpressed. You are not hurt, you are analyzing. Think of Sherlock Holmes. When someone insults him, he doesn't cry. He dissects the insult. Your insults are derivative and your vocabulary is lacking. You want to project the energy of a teacher correcting a student. Not a mean teacher, but a strict one. That was rude. Statement of fact. That wasn't necessary. Statement of fact. I'm going to pretend you didn't say that so we can continue. Statement of grace. Precision practice. The next time someone throws a subtle jab at you, catch it. Do not let it slide. Freeze the moment. Look at the jab. What a strange thing to say. That phrase, "what a strange thing to say," is one of the best all-purpose precision strikes in existence. It doesn't attack them, it labels the behavior. It frames them as strange, outsider, and you as the judge, insider. It turns the spotlight of shame onto them. The goal of the precision strike is not to destroy the person, it is to destroy the tactic. You are teaching them, your covert weapons do not work here. If you want to talk to me, you must speak plainly and with respect. If you try to sneak a knife in, I will confiscate it. You are securing the perimeter. We have now covered the defense, the mirror, the redirection, Aikido, the wall, boundaries, and the counterattack, precision strikes. But there is a class of people for whom none of this works. These are the people who do not operate in reality, the narcissists.
The toxic drains. The people who feed on conflict like a vampire feeds on blood. You cannot win an argument with them because they are not listening. For these people, you need a different strategy entirely. You do not fight them. You do not reflect them. You starve them. It is time to learn the art of becoming a gray rock. Chapter 8. The Toxic Paradox. There is a rule in warfare. Never fight a battle you cannot win. But what if the enemy you are fighting doesn't care about winning? What if they only care about fighting? Most of the strategies we have discussed so far, the mirror, Aikido, the iron boundary, rely on the assumption that the other person is at least somewhat rational. They assume that if you show them a boundary, they will respect it, or at least retreat to save face. They assume that social shame works. But there is a specific category of human being for whom these rules do not apply. I am talking about the high-conflict personality, the narcissist, the emotional vampire, the person who thrives on chaos. When you use logic on these people, they twist it. When you show emotion, they feed on it. When you set a boundary, they see it as a challenge. This brings us to the toxic paradox. The only way to win against a toxic person is to stop trying to beat them. If you try to prove them wrong, you lose. If you try to make them apologize, you lose. If you try to make them see your point of view, you lose. Why? Because they are not looking for a resolution. They are looking for supply. Narcissistic supply is a psychological term. It refers to the attention, admiration, or reaction that a narcissist needs to feel alive. They are like buckets with holes in the bottom. No matter how much attention you pour in, they are always empty. Here is the dark secret. They do not care if the attention is positive or negative. To a toxic person, your anger is just as tasty as your adoration. Your screaming matches are just as satisfying as your praise. Why? Because both prove that they control you. Both prove that they are the center of your universe. If you are shouting at them, you are thinking about them.
If you are crying because of them, you are focused on them. Therefore, the ultimate defense against the toxic person is not a counterattack. It is the famine. You must starve them. We achieve this through a technique known as the gray rock method. Imagine a gray rock on the ground. It is dull, it is hard, it is unmoving. It blends into the background. It is the most uninteresting thing in the world. If you kicked it, it wouldn't scream. If you yelled at it, it wouldn't argue. To a toxic person who craves drama, a gray rock is repulsive. It offers no supply. When you go gray rock, you become emotionally non-responsive. You do not ignore them, which can trigger rage. You acknowledge them, but with zero emotional flavor. Let's look at the mechanics of gray rock. 1. The monotone voice. When they try to provoke you, answer them, but answer them like a robot. Remove all inflection from your voice. No anger, no sarcasm, no fear. Just flat data. Toxic person. You're such a disappointment. You, flatly. I hear that you feel that way. 2. The one-word answer. Do not offer information. Toxic people use information as ammunition. If you tell them you are worried about your job, they will use that insecurity against you later. Keep your answers to the bare minimum. Yes. No. Maybe. I see. Okay. 3. The boring topic. If you must talk, talk about things that are incredibly dull. Talk about the weather. Talk about doing laundry. Talk about traffic. If they tried to pivot to drama, did you hear what your sister said about you? Pivot back to the boring. No, I didn't. By the way, I need to get the oil changed in the car next week. You are making yourself as exciting as a tax return. The goal is to become a broken slot machine. The toxic person pulls the lever, the insult. They expect coins to come out. Your reaction. When they pull the lever and nothing comes out, not even a sound, they will pull it a few more times. They might kick the machine. But eventually, they will walk away to find a machine that pays out. This is difficult. It goes against your instinct to clear your name. When a toxic person lies about you, every fiber of your being wants to scream, "That's a lie." This is called JADE. Justify, argue, defend, explain. You must never JADE with a toxic person. When you justify your actions, you are telling them that your actions are up for judgment. You are handing them the gavel. When you argue, you are telling them that their distorted reality is worth debating. When you defend, you act like a suspect. When you explain, you are assuming that if they just understood the facts, they would stop. They do understand the facts. They don't care. Let's look at a scenario. A toxic parent says, "You never visit me. You're an ungrateful child." The trap. "That's not true. I visited last week. I work 2 jobs. I'm doing my best." You have just given them supply. You sound guilty. You are distressed. They have won. The gray rock. "I'm sorry you feel that way." Silence. Toxic parent. "Is that all you have to say? You don't care about me." Gray rock. "I can see you're upset." Silence. Toxic parent. "You're cold." Gray rock. "Okay. Do you see the difference? In the second scenario, there is no friction. There is no hook for them to grab onto. You are a Teflon wall. Nothing sticks. But be warned. When you first start doing this, things will get worse before they get better. We discussed the extinction burst in Chapter 6, but with toxic people, it is more severe. When the slot machine stops paying, they don't just walk away immediately. They get violent. They get cruel. They will say the one thing they know hurts you the most. They will bring up your past failures. They will insult your partner. They will threaten to disown you. They are frantically pushing all the buttons to see if the machine is truly broken or just jammed. You must hold the line. If you break, if you finally explode after 2 hours of abuse, you have taught them a lesson. You have taught them the price of a reaction is 2 hours of abuse. They will be willing to pay that price again. You must be inconsistent with your availability, but consistent with your boredom. Another aspect of the toxic paradox is the smear campaign. When a toxic person realizes they can no longer control you, they will try to control how others see you. They will spread rumors, they will play the victim, they will tell the family or the office that you are the abuser. This is the hardest part for people to handle. It feels like your reputation is being destroyed. The paradox is this. If you run around trying to disprove the rumors, you look crazy, you look guilty. The lady doth protest too much. If you stay calm, if you stay consistent, and if you live your life with integrity, the truth eventually floats. The people who believe the toxic person without asking you for your side are not your friends. Let them go. The people who know you will see the truth. In the end, the toxic person exposes themselves. They cannot keep the mask on forever. If you are the gray rock, eventually they will have to turn their rage onto someone else. When they do, the audience will see who the real problem is. You are playing the long game. Let's talk about emotional detachment. Gray rock is the external behavior. Detachment is the internal state. You cannot successfully gray rock if you are internally boiling with rage. Eventually, the steam will blow the lid off. You must change how you view the toxic person. Stop viewing them as a powerful enemy. Stop viewing them as a mother who should love you or a boss who should be fair. View them as a force of nature. You don't get mad at a hurricane. You don't argue with a tornado. You batten down the hatches and wait for it to pass. When the toxic person starts screaming, tell yourself the storm is here. View them as a toddler having a tantrum. When a 3-year-old screams, "I hate you because you won't give me candy," you don't take it personally. You think they are tired and emotional. Adopt the clinical mindset. Pretend you are a psychiatrist observing a patient. Subject is elevating volume. Subject is attempting to use guilt induction. Subject is projecting their own insecurities. When you analyze them clinically, you detach emotionally. You step out of the movie and into the audience. The movie is still playing, but you are no longer in danger. The "oh really" technique. Sometimes you need a phrase that acknowledges them without agreeing. "Oh really? Is that so? That's an interesting perspective." These phrases are non-committal. "You're the worst employee I've ever had." That's an interesting perspective. It drives them mad, but it gives them nothing to work with. You are essentially saying, "I have noted your input," and filing it in the trash. The exit strategy. The ultimate goal with a toxic person is usually to remove them from your life entirely, no contact. But sometimes, due to finances, family dynamics, or workplace contracts, you cannot leave yet. Gray rock is a survival strategy for while you are stuck. It is not a permanent lifestyle. It is a bunker. While you are in the bunker, you must protect your inner sanctum. Do not share your dreams with them. Do not share your fears. Do not let them into your heart. Treat them like a stranger at a bus stop. You are polite, but you are guarded. There is a heavy price to paying attention to toxic people. Every minute you spend thinking about their insults is a minute you are stealing from your own purpose. They are energy vampires. If you engage, you will feel physically exhausted, you will get headaches, you will feel heavy. That exhaustion is your life force leaking out. Plug the leak. Stop trying to get closure. You will never get closure from a toxic person. They will never say, "You know what? I was wrong, and I'm sorry I hurt you." They're incapable of that. Their ego is too fragile to admit fault. Closure comes from you. Closure is you deciding, "I do not need this person's permission to be happy." Closure is realizing that their opinion of you is none of your business. The final trap, the Hoover. When you successfully pull away and the extinction burst fails, they will try one last tactic, the Hoover. Named after the vacuum cleaner, this is an attempt to suck you back in. Suddenly, they will become nice. They will offer gifts. They will reminisce about the good old times. They will act like the person you always wanted them to be. I miss you. I've changed. Let's start over. Do not fall for it. This is not a change of heart. It is a change of tactic. The moment you step back in, the cycle will restart. The abuse will return, often worse than before, because now they know you tried to leave. Maintain the gray rock. I appreciate the gesture, but I'm busy. I'm glad you're doing well. Keep the distance. The peace of the rock. There is a profound power in becoming unshakable.
When you master the gray rock, you realize that you are the one in control. The toxic person is dancing around, sweating, screaming, plotting. You are sitting there, drinking your coffee, unbothered. You have taken back your reality. You are no longer a character in their twisted play. You are the director of your own life. They can scream at the walls all they want. You are already gone. We have now covered how to handle the worst of the worst. We have built a fortress that can withstand storms. But defense is only half the battle. To truly master disrespect, you must reach a point where you don't even need to defend yourself because you simply do not care. You must ascend to a level of status where disrespect cannot reach you. It is time to move from handling disrespect to transcending it. It is time to learn the art of indifference. Chapter 9. The Art of Indifference. We have spent the last 8 chapters talking about tactics. We have discussed how to deflect, how to reflect, how to draw boundaries, and how to starve the enemy. These are all active measures. They require you to do something. But there is a level beyond tactics. There is a state of being where you do not need to use a technique because the disrespect does not even register as a threat. Imagine a lion walking through the savannah. A small fly buzzes around its ear. Does the lion roar? Does the lion prepare for battle? Does the lion analyze the psychology of the fly? No. The lion flicks its ear and keeps walking. The lion is indifferent. This chapter is about reaching the state of the lion. It is about the art of indifference.
True power is not winning an argument. True power is not needing to argue. It is the ability to look at someone who is trying to hurt you and feel absolutely nothing. Not anger, not fear, not pity. Just a vast, empty silence where their opinion used to matter. This is the ultimate freedom. Most people are slaves to the opinions of others. They wake up in the morning and put on a mask, hoping the world will clap for them. If the world claps, they feel good. If the world boos, they crumble. Their entire self-worth is outsourced to the people around them. When you care too much about what others think, you are handing them a leash. You are saying, "Here, please take this leash and drag me wherever you want. If you frown, I will be sad. If you insult me, I will be angry." The art of indifference is the act of cutting the leash. It is realizing that other people's opinions are just electrical signals in their brains. They are not facts. They are not laws of physics. They are ghosts. Why would you let a ghost ruin your breakfast? To master this art, we must understand the concept of status. In every human interaction, there is a subconscious status negotiation. High status equals, I am valuable, I am secure, I do not need you. Low status equals, I am needy, I am insecure, please accept me. When you get defensive, you signal low status. You are saying, your opinion is so important to me that I must fight to change it. When you are indifferent, you signal high status. You are saying, your opinion is irrelevant to my reality. Think of a celebrity walking a red carpet. A heckler screams from the crowd, "You're ugly!" Does the celebrity stop, turn around and say, "Actually, I was voted most beautiful person of the year, so you're wrong"? No, they don't even turn their head. The heckler is beneath their notice.
The heckler does not exist in their world. You must adopt the celebrity mindset. You are the celebrity of your own life. The people disrespecting you are the paparazzi. They are trying to get a reaction. They are trying to get a photo of you looking angry so they can sell it to their own ego. Don't give them the photo. This requires a fundamental shift in how you value yourself. You must become self-validating. Most of us are other-validating. We look into the mirror of other people's eyes to see if we are okay. Do they think I'm smart? If yes, I am smart. Do they think I'm worthy? If yes, I am worthy. This is a dangerous way to live. It means your value fluctuates like the stock market. The self-validating person breaks the mirror. They decide internally who they are. I am hardworking. I am honest. I am valuable. Once you decide this, external input becomes just that, input. It is data. It is not a verdict. If I tell you, you have green skin, you won't get offended. You will look at your arm, see that it is not green, and think, I am crazy. You are indifferent to the insult because you know the truth. When you know your own character, insults like, you're stupid, or you're a failure, bounce off you just like, you have green skin. You know the truth, so the lie has no friction. Let's discuss the technique of the 10-year test. When someone disrespects you and you feel that surge of anger, ask yourself, will this matter in 10 years? Will you remember this rude comment in 2035? Will this person even be in your life? Will this moment have any impact on your legacy? 99% of the time, the answer is no. If it won't matter in 10 years, don't spend more than 10 minutes worrying about it. If it won't matter in 10 years, it is noise. Indifference is the ability to filter the signal from the noise. Constructive criticism from a mentor? That is signal. That matters in 10 years. A snide remark from a jealous coworker? That is noise. Treat the noise like background static on a radio. You don't get angry at static, you just tune it out or change the channel. Now, let's look at the fan behavior reframe. This is a powerful cognitive shift. When someone is obsessed with criticizing you, monitoring your mistakes, and talking about you behind your back, what are they actually doing? They are dedicating their time and energy to you. They are thinking about you. They are watching you. That is what a fan does. Haters are just confused admirers. They are obsessed with you, but they don't know how to express it, so it comes out as aggression. When you view disrespect as fan behavior, it stops hurting and starts looking pathetic. Wow, John is really obsessed with my project. He talks about it constantly. I must be doing something interesting to capture so much of his attention. This reframe turns the aggressor into a spectator. You are the gladiator in the arena. They're just the person in the cheap seat screaming. The gladiator does not envy the spectator. The gladiator does not argue with the spectator. The gladiator fights. Let's talk about the law of least effort. In any system, the element with the most flexibility and the least effort controls the system. When you try hard to be liked, you repel people. It reeks of desperation. When you try hard to be respected by shouting, "Respect me," you look weak. Respect flows to those who do not demand it, but who command it through their presence. Indifference is the ultimate form of least effort. Someone insults you. Effort of reaction? High. Adrenaline, shouting, thinking of comebacks. Effort of indifference? Zero. When you choose zero effort, you preserve your energy for things that actually matter. Your goals, your family, your health. Imagine you have a battery with 100% energy every day. Do you want to spend 20% of that battery fighting with a fool? Or do you want to spend that 20% building your empire? Every time you ignore an insult, you are making a deposit into your own future. You are saying, my energy is too expensive for you to afford. There is a philosophical component to this as well. It is the acceptance of human nature. You must stop being surprised when people are rude.
Expecting the world to be fair and kind all the time is like expecting the ocean to never have waves. The ocean has waves. People have egos. When a wave hits you, you don't scream at the ocean, you swim. When someone is rude, don't say, "How could they do that?" Say, "Ah, there is a human acting like a human. Their ego is flared up. They are insecure. This is normal." When you stop being surprised, you stop being reactive.
You accept it as part of the weather. It is raining today. John is being a jerk today. I will bring an umbrella. This acceptance brings a deep, stoic calm. You realize that you cannot control the weather, but you can control your clothing. You cannot control others, but you can control your indifference. The so what drill. This is a mental exercise to strip the fear out of judgment. We fear disrespect because we fear the consequences. If they think I'm weak, I'll be rejected. Use the so what drill to find the bottom of the fear. Thought. They said my idea was stupid. Ask, so what? Answer, so they think I'm not smart. Ask, so what? Answer, so they might not like me. Ask, so what? Answer, so I guess nothing. I still have my job. I still have my family. I'm still alive. When you drill down, you realize that most disrespect has no actual teeth. It is a paper tiger. Unless the disrespect physically harms you or directly destroys your income, it is just air. So what? Neutralizes the threat. They're gossiping about me. So what? They're laughing at my clothes. So what? It is a shield of absolute dismissal. Now, a crucial distinction: indifference versus apathy. Apathy is laziness. Apathy is giving up. I don't care because I'm depressed. Indifference is active. It is a choice. I care deeply about the things that matter, and I choose to care zero about the things that don't. You should care about your work. You should care about your character. You should care about your loved ones.
But you should be indifferent to the noise that tries to distract you from those things. This leads to the concept of reputational armor. When you consistently practice the art of indifference, you build a reputation. People start to whisper, "You can't rattle him. She doesn't care about the drama." This reputation is a force field. Bullies and manipulators are looking for a reaction. If they know from your reputation that they won't get one, they won't even try. You become untargetable. Think of the person in your office or circle who is the most unbothered, the one who just does their work and goes home, the one who smiles vaguely at the drama and keeps walking. Do people mess with them? Rarely. People mess with the reactive ones, the ones who cry, the ones who shout, the ones who gossip. By becoming indifferent, you remove the target from your back. How to practice indifference physically? Indifference has a body language. We touched on this in The Sound of Power, but here we take it further. It is the heavy body. When you are reactive, you are light, you are twitchy, you jump. When you are indifferent, you are heavy. Relax your shoulders completely. Let gravity pull them down. Relax your face, not a frown, not a smile, just a blank canvas. Move slower. When someone disrespects you, continue what you are doing for 2 seconds before acknowledging them. If you are typing, keep typing for 2 seconds. If you are eating, take another bite, then look up. This signals, you are not my priority. You are an interruption. It is subtle, but it is devastatingly effective. It tells the other person that they do not command your attention instantly.
They have to wait in line behind your sandwich. The joy of missing out. We live in a culture of FOMO, fear of missing out. We want to be in the loop. We want to know the gossip. Mastering indifference requires embracing JOMO. Find joy in not knowing what they are saying about you.
Find joy in not being invited to the drama-filled meeting. Find joy in being invisible to the people who are toxic. There is a peace in the shadows. Let them fight in the light. You stay in the shade, conserving your strength. The ultimate revenge. People often ask, how do I get back at them? How do I get revenge on the person who disrespected me? The answer is, be happy. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that infuriates a hater more than seeing you happy and successful. If you argue with them, they know they hurt you. If you plot revenge, they know they own you. But if you are happy, if you are thriving, if you have forgotten their name, that destroys them. It proves that they are insignificant. So, the next time someone tries to drag you down into the mud, do not jump in. Look at them from the high ground, wave, and turn your back. Go work on your business. Go play with your kids. Go enjoy the sun. Leave them in the mud. That is where they belong. You belong in the clouds. Indifference is not coldness. It is altitude. You are simply flying too high to hear the barking of the dogs below. As we move to the final chapter, we will synthesize everything. We will take the fortress we have built, the internal mindset, the verbal tactics, the boundaries, and the indifference, and we will fuse them into a permanent identity.
It is time to become the unconquerable self. Chapter 10. The Unconquerable Self. We have reached the end of the tactical manual, but we are only at the beginning of your transformation. Over the last 9 chapters, we have built an arsenal. You have learned how to refuse the poisoned gift. You have learned to wield the silence of the pause. You have learned to reflect with the mirror, yield with Aikido, and stand firm behind the iron boundary. You have learned to starve the toxic and ignore the noise. But if you view these merely as tricks to win arguments, you have missed the point. These are not just techniques for handling other people. They are disciplines for mastering yourself. The ultimate goal of this audiobook was never to teach you how to come up with a witty comeback. The ultimate goal was to forge you into the kind of person who doesn't need a comeback. This is the state of the unconquerable self. What does it mean to be unconquerable? It does not mean you are invulnerable. It does not mean you will never feel pain or sadness or anger. You are human, not a machine. To be unconquerable means that your core identity, your sense of who you are and what you are worth, cannot be colonized by another person. It means that no matter what anyone says to you, no matter how much they scream or lie or mock, they cannot change the truth of your value. They can scratch the paint, but they cannot damage the engine. This final chapter is about integration. It is about taking all the separate tools we have discussed and fusing them into a single, seamless character. When you first start using these techniques, it will feel like acting. You will have to consciously think, okay, now I must pause. Now I must look at the bridge of their nose. Now I must use the downward inflection. It will feel mechanical. That is normal. That is how we learn. A martial artist has to think about footwork before it becomes muscle memory. But eventually, a shift occurs. You stop doing verbal self-defense, and you start being a person of high value. You don't pause because it's a tactic. You pause because you are genuinely calm. You don't use the iron boundary because you read a script. You use it because you genuinely respect your own time. You don't ignore the hater because of a strategy. You ignore them because you genuinely have better things to do. The technique dissolves into your personality. The armor becomes your skin. The pillar of self-respect. The foundation of the unconquerable self is radical self-respect. We live in a world that profits from your insecurity. Advertisements tell you that you are not enough. Social media tells you that everyone else is living a better life. Toxic people tell you that you are lucky they put up with you. If you believe them, you are easily conquered. You are a city with no walls. To be unconquerable, you must build the walls from the inside. You must keep the promises you make to yourself. Self-respect is not a feeling. It is a reputation you have with yourself. When you say you will go to the gym and you go, you build self-respect. When you say you will not tolerate yelling and you walk away, you build self-respect. When you say you will finish a project and you finish it, you build self-respect. The more you trust yourself, the less you need the validation of others.
When you know you are a person of integrity, an insult like "you're a liar" has no power. It sounds absurd. It sounds like someone calling the sky green. The unconquerable person knows their own resume. They know their own soul. Therefore, the opinions of strangers are irrelevant. The shift from victim to leader. Throughout this journey, we have talked about defense. But at the highest level, you stop defending and start leading. When someone creates chaos, they are creating a leadership vacuum. They are acting like a child. In that moment, the room is looking for an adult. You are that adult. You do not fight the child. You manage the child. When you use these techniques, the calm voice, the clear boundary, the steady gaze, you are actually leading the interaction. You are setting the tone. You are dictating the rules of engagement. This is why people will start to respect you more, even the ones who used to bully you. Humans are hierarchical animals. We instinctively follow the person with the most emotional control. By refusing to lose your cool, you demonstrate that you are the alpha in the room. Not the loud chest-thumping alpha, but the true, quiet alpha, the one who is safe, the one who is stable. You become a sanctuary in a storm. People will start to come to you for advice. They will want to be around you because your presence makes them feel calmer. Your unconquerable self becomes a resource for others, the weapon of compassion. This is the paradox of power. Once you are strong enough to destroy your enemy, you no longer want to. When you are weak, you hate the bully. You want revenge. You want to see them suffer. But when you become unconquerable, you look at the bully and you see the truth. You see a sad, insecure person who is suffering. You see someone who is so empty that they have to try and steal energy from others just to feel alive. You don't feel hate anymore, you feel pity. This pity is the ultimate shield. You cannot be hurt by someone you pity. Do you get offended when a sick person coughs on you? No. You might step back to protect your health, but you aren't offended. You understand that they are sick. Disrespect is a sickness of the soul. When you realize this, you can handle it with a detached compassion. I hope you find peace, you might think. And then you walk away. This does not mean you let them abuse you. Compassion does not mean submission. It means you set the boundary without the poison of hatred in your own heart. You protect your territory, but you do not wish them harm. You simply wish them away. The legacy of character. Ask yourself, what do you want your name to mean? When people hear your name, what comes to mind? Oh, he's the guy who always gets into arguments. She's the one who is always crying in the break room. Or, he is the one you can't rattle. She is the one with the spine of steel. Your response to disrespect defines your character more than your response to praise. Anyone can be graceful when things are going well. Anyone can smile when they are being complimented. But who are you when you are insulted? Who are you when you are tired? Who are you when the world is unfair? That is the true measure of a man or a woman. The unconquerable self takes pride in this test. When a difficult person enters your life, you do not complain. You accept the challenge. Here is a chance to practice my stoicism. Here is a chance to sharpen my boundaries. Here is a chance to prove to myself that I am in control. You stop wishing for an easier life and start wishing for a stronger character. The daily practice. This audiobook is ending, but your work is just beginning. You will fail. You will read this, and tomorrow someone will say something rude and you will snap. You will get angry. You will regret it. That is okay. Forgive yourself. The unconquerable self is not a destination. It is a practice. It is a muscle. If you miss a workout, you don't quit the gym. You go back the next day. Review these chapters. When you fail to pause, review Chapter 2. When you get sucked into an argument, review Chapter 5. When you feel drained by a toxic person, review Chapter 8. Treat this as a lifelong study. The art of human interaction is the most complex game in the world. You will never play it perfectly, but you can play it masterfully. The final vision. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Visualize the version of yourself that you are building. See yourself walking into a room. Your posture is tall. Your shoulders are relaxed. Your breathing is deep and slow. See a person approaching you, someone who has caused you pain in the past. See them try to push your buttons. See them throw the insults, the sarcasm, the guilt. And then see yourself.
See yourself smiling, not a fake smile, but a genuine smile of indifference. See yourself answering calmly. See yourself setting the boundary. See yourself turning and walking away, your heart rate steady, your mind clear, your joy untouched. That person is waiting for you. That person is not a fantasy. That person is you, minus the fear. That person is you, minus the need for validation. You have the tools. You have the map. You have the understanding. The cage door is open. All you have to do is walk out. The world will continue to be loud. People will continue to be rude. Life will continue to be unfair. Let it be. You are the mountain. Let the storms come. Let the winds blow. When the storm passes, the mountain remains. Stand tall. Speak clearly. Fear no one. You are the master of your words. You are the guardian of your mind. You are unconquerable.